So, I think I want to start this out by asking each of you, what do you guys think is the biggest problem with society, or biggest problem that society and we might face in the future? So it could be impending or it could be now. So, Keaton, do you have anything that you think is just really bad?
I think stereotyping, for sure.
Okay.
That goes for left-wingists, right-wingists, genders, race, like anything. So when you think of feminism, you think of pro-choice, you think of all the girls that are like, think that their opinion is way more than yours, but I don't think that's the case for everybody.
Yeah.
But that's what society thinks altogether. I've experienced it, a lot of people in my class have experienced it, and it's just building up with this midterm election. It's just Democrats are all left, people on the right, super far right, but we're missing the bigger part, and it's in the middle.
Yeah.
Everybody is not super liberal, super Republican, pro-girl, pro-guy. It's just, you just gotta break that down, and that's gonna be a hard process with the media and everything that we get our news from.
Now, what do you think, I know you don't really affiliate with either side, so what do you think? Do you think things are increasingly becoming more polarized and that's a bad thing, or what do you think about that?
Well, whenever you ask the question, I didn't really think about politics. I thought more like socially and like as time has changed. And I think a big part of it is technology, but I feel so bad to like blame it on technology because we can do so many cool things with it. But one thing that makes me like genuinely sad is like a 2-year-old playing on an iPad. Because like whenever I grew up, I was doing other stuff, and I feel like that's like probably the biggest problem, just because I feel like a lot of people don't see the value.
With
yeah,
personal,
like it's more important to like make money and put out stuff that is advancing technology, but it's not advancing our humanity. So
now, what would you think about people using technology to go with what kind of he said about getting in their little camps, of people that they agree with and they know they agree with them and stuff, like just going
what do you
to
mean, like Reddit?
Yeah, stuff like that, where you have people that are like-minded and you don't really challenge your own beliefs, and you're just basically in an echo chamber of what you think.
Yeah.
Do you think what you guys just said are related in that way?
Oh,
about
well,
being
yeah,
the biggest problem?
totally.
Yeah,
definitely.
well, that's what I'm saying, because
now it's almost like, oh my god, the misinformation crisis or whatever. Like, I hate to say it, but it's so real because you don't even know what's real anymore, and that's kind of crazy to me, because whenever you had, oh my god, what's his name? He literally did the news for like 60 years.
Oh,
Walter Cronkite. That's what it is.
I think you're thinking of Brian.
No, yeah, Walter Cronkite.
Brian.
I'm talking about like the 1960s.
Okay, yes,
like,
that's who
yes,
I thought you were talking about
long
recently.
time ago. Like, no,
Yeah.
like back then people like trusted every single thing that they saw on the TV because it was actual footage, and nobody was trying to sway anybody anyway. Like, it was just, here's the information and you can think whatever you want to think and you can choose your parties. But now it's like you can only tune into certain channels to get the information that you want to hear. And that's so ridiculous.
I agree.
Now, I know you know firsthand that like media and everybody try to manipulate and put certain facts to their certain viewers to they'll respond to that, and they'll watch their shows and they'll get views for putting out what they really want to see and not showing them what they don't want to see, so that they'll keep tuning in. What do you think about that? Do you think that happens?
This is like what CNN is for Democrats.
I think
and then Fox is for Republicans. Like that's ridiculous. I feel like you have to just state the facts. Don't leave out any facts would harm one or the other side, because it's not your place to choose. You can't. That's just like with a lot of people saying going out and vote now. Okay, but they're all. You can obviously tell they're all Democratic.
Yeah, it's like go out and vote, but
it's like they'll take a jab. They'll take a jab at Trump. Like, you should speak up about rape or something. Like, they'll all take a jab at a far right or Trump, something like that, which I think is just ridiculous. You should just like say go out and vote and let them vote for either side that they want. Yeah.
Now, is it the messenger or is it the way that they're sending the message, you know, because I think a lot of times it's the messenger, because it's like some outspoken person on either side, and they're saying go out and vote, but you obviously know which side they're telling you to vote for.
This
So
is like when Taylor Swift, when she said, she's I forgot her statement, but she
basically said in Tennessee or whatever, don't vote for the Republican because she doesn't care about these issues or whatever.
And then the voting just like skyrocketed. So many people registered to vote right away. Like, I don't think, because they're only voting because they're her fans. They're not voting on.
That happens sometimes. A lot of people were a fan of Kanye West, and then they were like,
exactly.
Screw him and left.
That's also the flip side of it, yeah.
And then when he stopped being political recently, I guarantee you a lot of people just followed him with that and stopped being political.
I don't think
well.
he stopped being political.
Yeah, he said after his, what did he say?
He said
he met with Donald Trump
the
like
14th
2
Amendment
weeks
thing
ago.
that.
No, but just recently, after he met with Donald Trump, it was like, I've been used to spread beliefs that I don't support because he got so much backlash. But it should be based off of his opinion. If he believes that, then that's him.
Yeah.
You should not let your fan base determine your beliefs.
Yeah.
And they should not try to force him to believe something else just so that they still like him. Like, it should be about his music. You don't have to like him as a person, but you can like him for his music.
And that goes for, I think,
everything.
celebrity.
Yeah.
Now, do you think that celebrities should keep their mouth shut, or do you think they should be able to go out and tell people to vote for one side and, you know, in effect, increase voting?
We know what you think.
I think that question, going back to the first question about what's the biggest problem.
Right.
I think that pretty much everything said really ties into mine. And I think the biggest problem is that the value we put into opinion. The value that, like, everyone's opinion should be heard, but then no one's there to hear it. You know, everyone's just spouting their opinions, and no one's, like, open to other opinions. I think if you're educated and you, like, know what you're talking about, then yeah, like, you can say stuff, you can, like, do whatever, but you don't, like, try to, like, convince people. You aren't like, hey, this is my opinion and it's right. You know, like, this is my opinion, here are the facts supporting my opinion, what do you think about it? I think that's what should be happening, rather than people who have, like, these platforms, you know, to reach a bunch of people just saying whatever they believe and saying it like it's the truth, like the absolute truth. I think it's a bit ridiculous.
So that kind of goes back into what she was saying when you were talking about backing up your opinions with facts, because like what she was saying, there are, you know, we used to be able to trust whatever we saw on the news, you know, but now it's like either side is just like, is that really reality, or is there a certain, you know, filter that is being put on it for our ears, you know? Like, do you think that, are there facts anymore that we can back up our opinions with from sources like those, or what?
Honestly, I feel like it's different though, because like I was talking about like the news, and it's different whenever you're watching the news. You're looking for the facts, like you want the information, but if I'm hearing a celebrity or anybody else talk about go vote for this person, go do that person, you can take it with a grain of salt. Like, you understand it's not the facts, like they're just telling you what they believe, and if you want to listen, you can listen. But whenever you go to the news, you're literally looking for trusted information, and if you're not getting that, then there's something wrong.
I think even when a lot of people watch the news, they tune in to what they want to hear, because I think they choose certain platforms that they know they're going to agree with whatever it is, you know, because they're only being presented facts that they know they're going to agree with, you know, and that goes for both sides, I think. And I don't think it's necessarily a one-side issue. I think it's both sides. And I think it's kind of trippy when you don't even know what's true as far as crowd sizes and stuff go, or you know, murder rates, or you know,
because it seems so easy to get that actual information, and then nothing is correct.
When that's a debate, you know, it's just you never really know. So I don't know. I think there has to be, you know, instead of society moving this way, you know, I feel like it would be better if we still had the sides, but maybe instead of moving the goalposts like this, we move it like this, you know? And I think that would honestly ease tensions, but I mean, I think people should still be able to believe as far out as they want to believe, because, but even then, you got the people over here and over here saying that everything that the other side believes is wrong just because of who they are.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's right either.
Yeah, I mean, like, maybe a night or two ago, I was researching the endocannabinoid system, and like, even in like the deeper parts of science, like, and I was researching the endocannabinoid with the effects of cannabis, and I was watching a bunch of videos on it, and it was polarized. You know, there was one supporting cannabis, one like, don't do cannabis, it messes up your endocannabinoid system. But the other side said, hey, it helps, but like, there's no just like raw facts.
Can you explain that concept, that what
The endocannabinoid system.
What is
that? It came about with researchers finding out what cannabis does to the body. And it turns out that the endocannabinoid system is like a system that goes through every single system in your body. And it kind of controls homeostasis. You know, it controls a certain level of, because there are like cannabinoids that your body naturally produces, similar to THC and CBD, and that like it controls how much to give and how much like just to pull back.
So you're saying that even in science there are people trying to research and prove
Yes.
what they already want
Yeah,
to
like,
prove?
Science, the most fact-driven community, is still polarized. And I think that there's like, it just needs to be like, here you go. You decide.
Objective truth.
Yes.
Objective truth
Yeah.
rather than subjective truth.
I think another, sorry, I didn't mean
No,
to-
I was just saying I would agree with him, but
I think another big issue is that like people feel persuaded to join political ideologies because of their friend group, and that just, oh my god, it makes me so annoyed. Like I almost can't, like I know that I'm gonna think for myself no matter what, but it's almost like you can't because of the people around you. Like you can't have a conversation with people about certain things without them just shutting it completely down because that's the party that they belong to, and it's so ridiculous. And if you even tell somebody like, hey, I don't agree with you, they literally will like not even be your friend, and it's actually crazy to me.
I agree.
Yes.
I agree. That is present at our school.
I
Yes.
have seen, there's so many girls that I know, literally me, like I am not a Democrat and I'm not a Republican, and I refuse to identify with either of those. But I literally have friends that, I have friends that get mad at me because I'm not Democrat.
Because you won't conform to.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I will not tell them that I'm a liberal, and they'll literally get mad at me because I don't want to be a liberal. And like I know guys that are not Republicans and they don't want to be Republicans, but everybody around them is like yee boys, so they have to conform to that, and it's so stupid. It makes me really angry.
No, I agree.
That goes with the stereotypes, like based on how you dress.
And it never ends. It's literally like your entire life. It doesn't matter how old you are. It's always going to be like the people around you that.
And it's almost like if you fall into a certain category, you have to believe certain things. You're a girl, so your friends think you should be on the side of these issues. Yes, and they may think you're black. You should be on the same side of.
I'm moderate. I cannot. See? I agree with both sides of the spectrum. There's no way. If you know all the facts, there's no way you should like.
As long as you can understand where people are coming from, like that's the biggest.
Because I'll listen to both people. Like I hang out with some far right and some far left, and I agree with some of the things that they say. Like it makes sense, but when they just start. I feel like when you attack the other side, that's when you go wrong.
Now, attack them on the basis of what? Who they are or what they believe or why they believe it?
What they believe. So like, everybody has a right to believe. Like you don't have to agree with them. You should listen to them. But like when you start to attack them because of that, or you bring in other things that have nothing to do with it, and just like, so say far left, like, well, you're just a redneck or something that has nothing to do with what they believe. That's when you're wrong. Like, that's when you start to stereotype them based on something that they just grew up with or something like that. It's just ridiculous.
I had something to add on to that. So I had Mr. Scrocky last year, and he talked about how if you're in the Republican Party, you don't have to believe anything in that Republican Party that they usually stand for. Like, you could be pro-choice and be a Republican still. Like, same, yeah. And that just hit me a lot last year, because that's when I started to change and like take in more opinions on different topics, because I just don't want to be what I think is right. That's always going to be right.
I think the biggest issue about people not listening to others' opinions is your parents raising you in a certain sort of political side. Like, maybe it's not intentionally, but it's just you can see that they have certain beliefs on certain topics. And being raised in a household that believes like super far right, then most likely you're gonna lean to the right. And if you hear left ideas, then you'll be like, oh, that can't be true because this is how I was raised.
Yeah, I have a friend that was like, if I even hung out with gay people, my family would disown you. Like, that's ridiculous. There's no reason that anybody should feel that way.
I think I agree with your family influences and stuff, but I also think that when you were saying people start attacking you for reasons that don't even have anything to do with what you're saying, you know, I think a lot of that is directed at who you are, so they can shut you down and devaluate you just like that and say, you're a man, you can't have this opinion about female stuff. You're a female, you can't have an opinion about female stuff. You're white, you can't have an opinion about this issue that has to do with or whatever. You know? So I think that is very apparent, and I've been shut down at school because of reasons like that. Like, you're a white male, you know, you can't
you have white privilege. That's such,
you can't like put
so
your
dumb.
input, you know, in. You cannot give your opinion because
the color of your skin, which is that should matter the least in a topic.
Yeah, and it just seems so weird because in a way I thought we were past that, you know? I thought we were past that, but then it's almost like it's just evolved, you know?
But I almost feel like the one difference, and I don't know how this is going to come across, but I almost feel like the one difference is abortion, just because, and like, I will 100%, I think that everybody should have whatever opinions they want, but whenever like a system is pretty much run by men and they're like choosing what goes on with a woman, that's where I draw the line. I feel like if you're going to make an executive decision about a topic that specifically deals with women, that you need to have them have
incorporate the women.
Yeah,
What if,
like the biggest say should be, it's like 75% women.
No,
Like,
but what if those people are elected? Because that's the issue. They're elected by people who voted for them, you know? So
yeah, no, I know what you're saying.
then at that point it's like, okay, well then are you going to vote for someone just because they're a girl just so they'll vote a certain way on this issue? You know what I'm saying?
I'm bouncing off of that. Like, what if they don't know enough about abortion and all that stuff, but they know a lot about economic other stuff?
Yeah.
And you want that, but you also want someone that knows how to deal with abortion and show my opinion on that.
There's no person that can fulfill every single belief that you have.
Exactly.
Because everybody's different.
I agree.
And that just depends on how big that problem is on your totem pole. Would you rather, is that up there, or is it money, getting more money? Like, it's hard to find someone that has everything you want to do.
And if they're trying to pass legislature in that department, then obviously they were going towards one way or the other. So, or else they're ignoring the issue pretty much.
Well, I think, honestly, elected officials should talk more to their constituents about what they want, instead of saying, hey, vote for me and I might do what you want me to do. You know, I feel like that would work so much better.
Or
People
like,
would be so
data
many more
says
happy.
this will be a great idea. Like, the graphs don't tell you everything.
Right.
I honestly think that for that, direct democracy is the best option. Like, if you can have every single person vote, and then I know it's like, what, 350 million people, but still, if you have every single person vote, instead of having representatives, then you can vote on every single matter that you agree with, whether it's, you know, pro-abortion, pro-choice. That way it swings on what every single person that voted believes, if that makes sense.
And that kind of goes to how we even elect our president.
Exactly.
Because I think it's kind of weird the way it is, because basically it's just one popularity contest, you know, a national popularity contest to see who gets to have their finger on the nuclear button. You know? And, I mean, that's basically what it is. And even the way it's set up is kind of weird, because the elected officials don't even have to vote the way
Exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't understand how
That is
this
the weirdest
system
thing.
hasn't been changed yet. It literally blows my mind. And like that's how you know that there's some crazy crap going down in the government whenever literally 90% of America will say we hate this system and they're still like, no, it's fine. It's right.
I think there is a very big issue with our government.
Our government, or like world,
Like
governments
our
collectively?
our government, like the U.S.'s government. I think
Different
there's a
issues.
very big issue with how it's still running on this 17-something constitution. Like, there was, I think it might have been Thomas Jefferson or some old guy was talking about if the citizens feel as though their government is not, like,
Working for them.
working for them, they have the right to rebel and restructure this government. I think it's still run by this very old English constitution where it's like, there's some people who are like, oh, the Constitution says this, so we can do that. I think there needs to be a new sort of system set up where things like the Electoral Congress or whatever it's called, or
Electoral College.
yeah, or like how Congress doesn't have term limits.
That I agree with
think
you
there
I
are
agree with
some
you.
major problems in this government system that just are not being touched. And
Or
they're-
that the president can like basically appoint a Supreme
Oh,
Court
yeah.
justice. They can just be like, I like that person. They're gonna make all the decisions for me
Yeah.
now.
But
Yeah.
but then the Senate has to vote to approve them. You know, it's not like
It's not hard when it's run all pretty much.
Well, I mean,
by
that's why
someone.
you-
That's
I mean-
why when Barack was in, you know, he was able to easily get Democrats in. When Trump's in, he's easily able to get, because usually, I think for the past few years we swung from, because Bush was a Republican, Barack's a Democrat, and then Trump. So it's just going back and forth.
But the Senate was Republican during
Obama.
Obama's.
That's why he couldn't get anything done.
Exactly.
But then again, whether or not, but I'm saying that there are checks and balances for that. You know, you got to get the Senate vote, and then you know, stuff like that. But I think I agree.
It's not thorough enough.
That may be, but I think I think the term limit thing is a huge issue. But think about it: if you had term limits and you're on your last term, you know, are you going to be motivated to make certain decisions that will get you reelected again? You know, because you might just go in there and say, hey, screw it, I'm just going to vote for whatever I want. I'm going to be out of here. I can't do this again. You
Or
know what I'm
maybe
saying?
it'll be the opposite. Maybe
But-
they'll vote.
Yeah, that's how it should be. That's how it should be.
But still, I mean, even if there were no term limits, you could still have the same side. It could still be like, oh, I'm just going to get reelected again. I don't really have to do much to help.
That's how it is now.
advance."
That's how it is now.
And I think if there is no step taken, then nothing will change. Like, if a step is taken and things go bad, you know, like, oh, okay, that's not what we should have done. But if you just are stagnant for a long time, it's like, oh, we could do this, and then you just never do it, then that's like, it's pretty dangerous, because, like, there could be something much greater, you know, built, but it's just nothing is like,
Happening.
yeah.
Going back to the government, I think there's a huge disconnect from elected officials and who they're representing.
Yeah.
I agree
Yeah.
with the Constitution, everything, the Electoral College. I think it's just a big problem for us in that the people that we elect are not helping us. You know what I mean? It's just, it's kind of hard for me to explain, but like it's worked before, and I think it can still work. But going back to what I said, there's left or right, and you have to vote for a certain party in
Yeah.
order to get what you want.
And you can't make
Appointed.
you can't
Yeah.
make the decisions really, or all the lobbyists and
Yes.
stuff, and
And I
people that are
hate that.
funding you, and
Like states are controlled like by those political
Exactly.
parties. Like Arkansas is Republican.
Yes.
If you live here, you're Republican. If you don't, then sorry, nothing's gonna happen for
Exactly.
you here. You're gonna get no legislature in your advantage. So, but if you go to California, if you're Republican, sorry, everything here is liberal. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's annoying how, or what is it called, the gerrymandering, where you can.
that's where you change the district lines
Yeah.
in your
And-
favor and stuff
yeah,
like that.
That's ridiculous. Can't believe
Yeah, there's a very big issue with the bipartisan sort of government we have, where there's two sides and then there's like a third Green Party or whatever. Let's laugh at those people. But like, it's a very big issue that like George Washington, when he was like helping build this country, was
He didn't
like,
want
do
party.
not,
Yeah.
do not let this government be two parties. And now it is, and like
But we can't
nothing
act
is
like
happening.
we can't act like that's not been happening for a really, really long time because
It's been happening
Yeah,
since
yeah.
the beginning.
in like
Except
the
it was-
1800s.
Yeah, no, in like, medieval times it was peasants versus,
Sir.
the royalty, and then, Enlightenment happened, and
Yeah.
like screw
Yeah.
royalty, and then after that it was, let's say early 1900s, in Russia it was you poor people versus your monarchy, and then they got rid of that, and it was like, the people versus the elite, and now it's all run by the government,